Hello friends, welcome to the session on communication electronics. In this session, we'll be discussing about pulse modulation. In this session, we will see what we mean by pulse modulation, what is the classification of pulse modulation. We will see the sampling process and we will also discuss the sampling theorem. Friends, as you know that you are viewing this session on my YouTube channel Learn with Prakash Kanale, and do not forget to subscribe to the channel to see more videos on the subjects of electronics and computer science. So we will go for the discussion of the pulse modulation, and in this session we will start the session with the question what we mean by pulse modulation. So far we have already discussed amplitude modulation and frequency modulation, and we know that in amplitude modulation and in frequency modulation the carrier signal is a continuous signal. But in pulse modulation, you will find that the carrier signal is not a continuous signal, and the carrier signal is in the form of square pulses. So as shown in this diagram, you can easily observe that the modulating signal or information signal is a continuous signal, but the carrier signal is not a continuous signal, and it is in the form of square pulses. As I said, in case of pulse modulation, the modulating signal is a continuous analog signal. In pulse modulation, what actually we do is that some characteristics of the carrier pulses, such as amplitude, width, or position, are changed. And when they are changed in accordance with the amplitude of the modulating signal. So in order to transmit this information signal along with the carrier pulses, we need to change some characteristics of the carrier pulses. So the characteristics such as amplitude or width or position of the carrier pulses are changed in accordance with the amplitude of the modulating signal. In pulse modulation, normally a narrowband analog signal is being transmitted over the pulse stream. So narrowband analog signals such as voice can be transmitted over a pulse stream. Some of the pulse modulation techniques are analog pulse modulation techniques. Some of the techniques are digital modulation techniques. So if the pulse modulation technique is digital, then in that case, you will find that a digital code is being transmitted. So binary sequence or a binary code is generated in the modulation process, and this binary code is being transmitted. The biggest advantage with the pulse modulation is that it has a noise immunity. So we have considered AM, FM. In AM, there is a problem of noise. In FM, comparatively, there is less noise. And in pulse modulation also, you will find that these techniques have noise immunity. It is also possible that in pulse modulation, you can achieve multiplexing. Multiplexing that will stand for transmission of more than one signal over the same transmission line. So many signals at the same time can be transmitted by using pulse modulation. So whenever we use the pulse modulation, then it is not necessary to amplify the signal because the signal is in the form of carrier pulses only. And instead of amplification, what we go is for the signal regeneration. Also, you will find that the pulse modulation, in pulse modulation, the measurement and evaluation of the modulation is comparatively easier than that of the amplitude modulation or frequency modulation. Now we will go for the classification of the pulse modulation. So as shown in this diagram, you will find that basically there are two types of pulse modulation: analog pulse modulation and digital pulse modulation. In analog pulse modulation, again we have two types: pulse amplitude modulation or PAM and pulse time modulation, PTM. In pulse time modulation, again we have two different types. The first type is called as the pulse width modulation, or pulse duration modulation, and the second type is called as the pulse position modulation or PPM. In digital modulation, we have the three different types such as PCM, pulse code modulation, delta modulation, and adaptive delta modulation. So pulse modulation is basically classified into two categories: analog pulse modulation and digital pulse modulation. Analog pulse modulation is further classified into three categories: pulse amplitude modulation (PAM), pulse time modulation, and pulse time modulation can be further classified into pulse width modulation (PWM) and pulse position modulation (PPM). Pulse code modulation is a digital modulation, delta modulation is a digital modulation, and adaptive delta modulation is also a digital modulation. So whenever we have a digital type of pulse modulation, then you will find that this technique will generate the binary code. Now in pulse modulation, the important process that we need to carry out is called as the sampling process. So we will now understand what we mean by the sampling process in pulse modulation. Sampling is the process of taking periodic samples of the waveform to be transmitted. So whenever the waveform that we want to transmit in pulse modulation, the continuous wave cannot be transmitted, and therefore we need to take the periodic samples of the waveform that has to be transmitted. So you can say that sampling is the process of converting the continuous time signal into an equivalent discrete time signal. So a continuous signal is being converted into a discrete signal by using the sampling process. So in pulse modulation, you will find that the modulating signal is a continuous signal, or the information signal is a continuous signal, and this signal has to be sampled, and it has to be sampled at equal interval of time. And this time is normally called as TS, and it is called as the sampling time. So sampling can be easily achieved by using an electronic circuit called as a multiplier. Suppose we have a multiplier box, and to the input of the multiplier box, we apply some continuous signal, modulating signal, and to the same multiplier box, we will apply the sampling signal, which is in the form of square pulses. So at the output of the multiplier blocks, we will get the sampled signal. So the continuous signal is actually multiplied with the sampling signal to get the sampled signal. So as shown in this waveform, you will find that our modulating signal is a continuous signal, and the sampling signal is in the form of square pulses. So in the multiplier, the multiplication of these two signals will take place, and at the output, we will get a sampled signal. That is, at the output, we will get the square pulses of which amplitude continuously varies as per the amplitude of modulating signal. Sampling process, as I said, it can be achieved by using the multiplier circuit. Even a simple electronic switch can also be used to achieve the sampling process. We can also define the sampling frequency, and sampling frequency Fs is defined as the reciprocal of the sampling time. So Fs is equal to 1 upon Ts. Now we will go for the sampling theorem. In pulse modulation, it is necessary to maintain certain interval of sampling time, or it is necessary to maintain a certain frequency of sampling. And this frequency, what it should be, is being decided by using a theorem, and this theorem is called as the sampling theorem. So sampling theorem is used to determine the minimum sampling rate so that the signal can be correctly restored at the receiver. In sampling process, you will find that we are not transmitting a continuous signal, we are transmitting a discrete signal. So this discrete signal, when it is received at the receiver, then from this discrete signal, we need to restore the original information signal. And while restoring the original information signal, if the sampling rate is not appropriate, then it will be very difficult to restore the original information signal. So there is a sampling theorem, and this theorem is mostly called as the Nyquist sampling theorem. And according to the Nyquist sampling theorem, the sampling frequency Fs must be greater than or equal to twice to that of maximum modulating signal frequency. That is, Fs must be greater than or equal to twice Fm, where Fs is the sampling frequency and Fm is the maximum modulating signal frequency. So if Fs is less than Fm, then you will find that it will cause distortion whenever we try to restore such sampled signal at the receiver. So sampling theorem must be followed in pulse modulation. And if you do not follow it, then it may cause the distortion. So in order to avoid the distortion, it is necessary that we should follow the sampling theorem. The minimum sampling frequency that is required to represent the continuous signal is being called as the Nyquist criteria. And according to the sampling theorem, the Nyquist criteria is Fs minimum is equal to twice Fm, or Ts max is equal to 1 upon Fs minimum, which is equal to 1 upon twice Fm. It means that the signal must be sampled at least twice during each cycle of its highest frequency component. So whenever you want to transmit a continuous signal by using a pulse modulation, then that signal need to be sampled, and that signal need to be sampled at least twice during each cycle of the highest frequency component of the signal that is to be transmitted. Thank you, friends, for viewing the session. Hopefully you have understood what we mean by the pulse modulation. In our next session, we will discuss the pulse amplitude modulation. Thank you all for viewing the session.